Thank you, NBC, for creating my new sleep paralysis demon. Let's talk about this week in theater. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to This Week in Theater, the show where we break down exactly what went down in theater this week. Let's dive right in. This week in theater, we got a lot of holiday programming. The Disney Holiday Sing-Along featured Broadway performers on stage and in the audience at the St. James Theater for the first time in 8 months, and they performed a socially distanced version of Let It Go. Also, a pandemic can't stop Scrooge, but because he's a senior, Christmas Carol productions nationwide have been forced to go virtual this year. Nothing has quite as succinctly showcased the ingenuity and flexibility of regional theaters quite like producing annual productions of A Christmas Carol in 2020. There are one-man streaming adaptations, pre-recorded versions, and even radio plays. If you can dream it, it's being done. Speaking of holiday specials, the previews of Matthew Morrison as the Grinch for NBC's production of the Grinch musical have not gone over well, to say the least. What's that? A high-budget holiday special for network television? Better grab my forest green leather gloves. But in all seriousness, in this world of superficial typecasting that we live in, if producers are never going to cast character actors as romantic leads, could we at least not take away the few leading roles that character actors are allowed to play by casting people who are romantic leads? And yes, Jeremy Jordan in the 2019 off-Broadway revival of Little Shop of Horrors, I am looking at you. Even the White House is getting in on the holiday fun. Melania decorated the White House for Christmas, and to show his excitement for the upcoming NBC special, Donald Trump did a press conference at a table that was
2 sizes too small.
I don't even know why I'm telling you this, because, to quote the First Lady of the United States,
who gives a about Christmas stuff?
This week in theater, Dr. Fauci expressed optimism about the return of live theater in the United States due to the hopeful outlook of these vaccines. Fauci had previously said that it would likely be a year or more before live entertainment could make its triumphant return, but that was assuming that the vaccine had a 70% efficacy rate. With several vaccines on the horizon with a 95% efficacy rate, he's changed his tune. He says that if 75 to 85% of the people in the country get vaccinated, as the vaccine becomes available to the general public through April, May, and June, you can get back to normal, or at least approaching close to normal as you can get, into the late summer and early fall. In related news, Tom Kitt and Brian Yorkie have announced their new musical, entitled Normal, or at least approaching close to normal. Speaking of getting back to normal, this week in theater, Actors Equity Association's pandemic safety consultant, Dr. David Michaels, was tapped by the Biden-Harris transition team to be a part of their COVID-19 advisory board. And I don't have a joke for that, it's just really cool and genuinely very reassuring that the union's safety protocols were created by someone who's being trusted to assist in creating those same safety protocols for the entire country. But who is Dr. David Michaels, and how did he start working with Actors Equity Association? I think it's time to put a quarter in the brief.
Hi, and thanks for having me, Kent. 7 months ago, Actors Equity Association hired Dr. David Michaels to provide his expertise and to advise on equity safety standards during the pandemic. Dr. Michaels, an epidemiologist whose primary expertise is in worker safety and health, served as the Assistant Secretary of Labor for OSHA from 2009 to 2017. Dr. Michaels created our ground floor 4 principles to give the theater industry the foundation for building a safe reopening. Now let's fast forward to last week, when President-elect Joe Biden appointed Dr. Michaels to his Transition COVID-19 Advisory Board, after the National Safety Council called for the president-elect to ensure there is a workplace safety expert on the COVID-19 task force. Dr. Michaels joins a team of leading public health experts, helping the transition team prepare to implement a, quote, robust and aggressive response to contain the virus, end quote. January 20th can't come soon enough. In other presidential transition news, Actors Equity's special counsel, Lynn Reinhardt, who was the first woman to serve as the general counsel for the AFL-CIO and a longtime worker advocate, has been appointed to Biden's labor transition team. Since no president has been more aggressive in weakening unions than 45, the goal is that support for labor and workers will return to our governing bodies under 46. And please note that both Dr. Michaels and Ms. Reinhardt are supporters of the arts. That certainly has to be good for theater workers on both the science side and the labor side. January 20th can't come soon enough. This is Ruth. Thanks, Kent Collins, for the quarter.
Thank you, Ruth. This week in theater, the cast of Sports Ball had an interesting performance when all the covers for their lead role of quarterback were out sick due to the coronavirus. So at the last minute, they decided to do a cut show and swung a member of the ensemble into the lead role. This week in theater, a glimmer of hope of a bipartisan coronavirus economic relief package was promptly extinguished by Mitch McConnell, who would rather hold the American people hostage than actually cooperate with people on the other side of the aisle. By now, 203 days have elapsed since the House of Representatives first passed the HEROES Act, then they passed a second version of the HEROES Act that compromised with Republican demands, and now we've had a bipartisan bill proposed, all of which Mitch McConnell is refusing to give a vote on the Senate floor. If you're watching this from Georgia, you have the opportunity to end this for all of America by registering to vote in the January runoff election. So talk to your friends, your family, your coworkers, your neighbors, anyone you know that lives in Georgia, and make sure that they are registered to vote in the runoff elections by December 7th. The deadline is December 7th. And this is very important. We have to flip blue the like button for the YouTube algorithm. You gotta hit it, it'll turn blue. It's super easy. You don't even have to register or anything. Just hit that like button. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. My name is Kent, and that was This Week in Theater. This snazzy feathered production assistant, as well as other cool stage management merchandise, is now available at kentjamescollins.com/store. Link in the description below.